Oh, yes. I call this The Adventures of Private Jenkins, Part 2. I haven't finished working on Part 1 yet. As soon as I get it completed, I'll come right back on the show and let you hear it. But Part 2, the scene is a small military command post somewhere in South Vietnam. It's early in the morning. Captain Edwards, company commander, just walks into the little tent there that represents the command post. Phone rings. Says, hello? Said, yes, General. Yes, this is Captain Edwards. Said, what? He did? When? Said, I had some and I liked it. Said, I'll speak to him right away, General, and I'll take disciplinary measures. He turns to the orderly. He says, send in Private Jenkins. Jenkins comes in. Says, yeah, Cap, baby, what's happening? The captain said, Jenkins, the Army's fed up with you. You understand, Jenkins? The Army's fed up, and I'm fed up. You know what you should do, Jenkins? You should go someplace and start an army of your own. Because we're not gonna let you run this army. That's why we made you a private. Because we didn't want you running this army. Now, let me tell you how low you as an individual rate in this army, Jenkins. Said, if I ever hear of you talking back to a prisoner of war, you're going to the guardhouse. So, Jenkins, I just got a call from the general about a letter you wrote complaining about the cream chip beef on toast. So, what's wrong with the cream chip beef? Said, I eat it and I like it. So, what's wrong with it? Jenkins said, well, Cap, said, I'm going to tell you the same way I told the general in the letter. Said, the cream chip beef is too loose. Said, I like my cream chip beef thick. And I like big chips. And when my mother used to fix it at home, she used biscuits instead of toast. And then then in the morning, like, she'd smile as she scooped a spoonful on my plate and ask me how I felt. Said it interferes with my ability to function as a member of the world's greatest military machine when I come through that chow line in the morning and the cream chip beef is loose. And the chips are small. And the toast is burnt and it's covered up with a lot of that loose stuff. And instead of the cook asking me how I feel or saying good morning, he's yelling, keep the line moving. Don't hold up the line. So isn't it your third time in the line? Said, Jenkins, the general's pretty hot about this. Said, you're in a lot of trouble. Said, now, fortunately, I have an opportunity available to give you the chance to get back on the good terms with the Army. Just a moment. Picks up the phone. Says, said, did we pick anyone yet for the impossible mission? Said, well, Jenkins just volunteered. Said, Jenkins, let me tell you about the impossible mission. Said, we're getting ready to pull a big attack on the enemy. Said, what's holding up the attackers? We don't know how many there are. Yeah, but we know they're out there. We know they're out there because we see them every time we look at them. Said, other than that, we wouldn't know. So now, what I want you to do, Jenkins, is to sneak behind their lines tonight and count them. Jenkins said, count them? Captain said, certainly. Jenkins said, that's impossible. Captain said, how can you say it's impossible when you haven't even tried? It's about 9 that evening when Jenkins left camp. Instead of carrying hand grenades and weapon, or ammo belt, he carried 4 ballpoint pens and a couple of notepads. Went off into the jungle. About 3 that morning, everyone's in the camp. It's asleep, you know, and they heard the sound. It was a weird sound. Sound like, weird sound. You know, like a big giggle. And they rush out of their tents, you know, the captain and everybody else. They rush and they look. And Jenkins is coming through the jungle. And he has a rope. And at the end of this rope, there are 4,000 Viet Cong. They're giggling. The captain says, what happened, Jenkins? What's going on here? Jenkins said, they're my prisoners. So I captured them. The captain said, how? Jenkins said, well, they woke up while I was counting them. They asked me what I was doing. I told them I was counting them. I told them you should come over there and count them. The more I counted, the more they laughed. They started rolling all over the ground laughing when I was counting them. So watch. I said, Viet Cong, I'm gonna count you. So 1, 2, 3. 4 by 6. He comes roll over the ground, really laughing. Pat Jenkins on the back, shaking his hand and everything. Captain said, fantastic, Jenkins. He said, I'm going to put you in, recommend you, that is, for private first class. He said, and also, I'm going to put you in for the Congressional Medal of Honor. He said, now you go back to your tent, get a good night's rest, and I'll discuss the cream chip beef with you in the morning. Next morning, it's a long story, ain't it? I write my own material, too, you know? Next morning, Jenkins is coming through the chow line, and he looks. And there's biscuits instead of toast. And he goes a little further down the line, and the cream chip beef is thick. And the chips are big. Jenkins looks up, he says, Mother! And she says, keep the line moving, honey.